Hello, friends. Welcome to another edition of the Lovecast. You are listening to episode 131, which is going to be entitled What You Work For, You Never Have, Part 6. So, again, you're listening to episode 131, which is entitled What You Work For, You Will Never Have, Part 6. Guys, how are you? Welcome back to another edition of the Lovecast. Welcome to all of you who may be listening or watching this live or the recorded video recording of this on Facebook. Again, I have a page for this podcast called the Lovecast with Jamal. It's actually, that's the official name of the podcast. And I have a page on Facebook devoted to this podcast. So if you'd like to watch the video replays there, you can watch them there. And then I also have them streamed also to my coaching page on Facebook, which is called Free to Love Coaching. So anyway, I'm glad you guys have been enjoying this series. This is part 6 in this series. We're going to talk about a really important topic, which I'll reveal here in just a few minutes. But again, welcome if you're watching by Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel that I doesn't get a lot of traction because I don't promote it that much or haven't really used. I just started uploading videos there. But again, if you would like to watch the Lovecast episodes there, you can always find them there at YouTube as well, and also on my website. So anyway, and for the rest of you who listen to podcasts the normal way, this will be, this gets uploaded weekly on every Tuesday on your podcast platform, be it iTunes, or Podbean or whatever platform you use to listen to podcasts. Anyway, welcome, guys. I am so glad that you, again, as always, thank you to the listeners for letting me know that this series has been speaking to you. I've heard from several great people who have been, positively affected by this series. And it's a big one. It's a lot of, this is just a very important topic. Again, so much of the work I do in coaching is helping people heal from a lifetime of outsourcing their power. That's really the gist of it. So we have been suffering because we have been stuck in a victim mindset. Suffering comes from the victim mindset, and a victim mindset isn't it isn't because tragic things or negative things have not happened to you. Now that you can be victimized without taking on the identity of a victim. So so much of our struggle and pain in life is not because of what happened to us, but it's because of the mindset of a victim that has been created because we have just felt very powerless and we've outsourced our power. We were taught how to do that through conditioning, through what we experienced growing up. Our parents unconsciously teach us how to disempower ourselves, and also, unfortunately, most of the religious world teaches people how to outsource their power outside of themselves, which I actually believe to be a deviation from everything that people who teach spiritual truth are advocating. So if you look at the life of Jesus and you look at the teachings of Jesus, I see nothing in those teachings that encourage or advocate for giving away your essence, your power to something outside of yourself. I know that might sound crazy to you, but honestly, the kingdom of God, everything that we're taught from Jesus it's all within, not without. It's not external, it's internal. It's a really important point. But I find that to be true in everything in life. Everything is internal before it can be external. So we're in this series, we've been talking about what you work for, you will never have. And the reason what you work for, you will never have, the reason that's true is because you already have everything, right? And I know that might sound too good to be true or just simply not your experience. That's okay. Just because something's not your experience doesn't make it invalid. It just means it's not your experience. But for many people, when we awaken or as we awaken to reality, we recognize that the thing I've been chasing has been within me the whole time. Okay. So what you work for or what you chase, you will never have. That's because you already have it. But if you're chasing it outside of yourself, you can never find it there. So it's about knowing where to look, right? It's about knowing where to go at a fundamental level. So what I'd like to talk about in this episode, part 6 of the love cast, I would like to talk about our sense of worthiness. So again, what you work for, you can never have. If you work for worthiness, to feel worthy, if you're trying to perform your way into being worthy, you can never have that. Yeah, you can never have that. It's interesting, and especially this is especially true when it comes to our financial lives, right? When it comes to people's financial well-being, that most people, and I've talked to many folks that they just, this has been my experience even in my own life, a lot of people who are intelligent, who are capable or bright, um, and have there's no reason why they should just their life should be a perpetual struggle. Yet it is. There's one reason for it. People who, I mean, have you ever met somebody who was just really talented and had a lot of gifts and talents, and they were intelligent? They had everything going for them, of course, but their life, they just seem to be like never hitting their potential, or always falling short of what people thought they could do, or what even they themselves have dreamed of doing. They just felt like they just can't hit that. They feel like they're always falling short of that. It's always a struggle. Yeah, there's a reason for that. Yeah, and it has everything to do with worth, a sense of worthiness. Yeah. Now most people, that's not conscious, so they're not consciously thinking, "Oh, I'm just not worthy." No, but at the unconscious level, there's a belief. There's a belief. See, I have become convinced that people will receive in life exactly what they think they are worthy of receiving. Let me say that again, because that's a key point here. People will receive in life what they think they are worthy of receiving. I've seen that. I have found that to be true 100% of the time. If somebody does not believe at the subconscious, unconscious level that they are worth receiving something, they will sabotage themselves. They will find a way to be attracted to uh, situations that will give them less than what they need. They will be drawn to situations in which maybe it's an abusive relationship, maybe it's economic insecurity, maybe it's just a lifestyle that falls short of what they feel that they're worthy of. They will draw into their life exactly what they think they're worthy of. And and then eventually the people then ask the question, like, why does so many things, have you ever seen somebody that just seems to effortlessly get good job offers and have good financial things come in their, into their life? They have breaks, they seem to just be able to effortlessly guide and and go through life the way they desire to go through life, and achieve goals that they desire to achieve, and do the things that they desire to do. And it seems effortless for some folks, and for other folks, maybe yourself, it just feels like, man, the thing that I keep trying to achieve, or the thing that my goals that I'm setting, I just feel like I keep hitting these setbacks. It's a pattern, it's a struggle, or I just can't break out of that limiting pattern. Does this make sense? Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. If that's you, or if you know folks like that, it has to do with a sense of worthiness at the unconscious level. The sad reality is, and I find this in my own life, and the folks that I work with, that the sad reality is, I would say the majority of people on the planet have been programmed with a deep sense of unworthiness, that they feel that they must perform better or more to attain a sense of worth, so that they can justify receiving a good life, a good paycheck, a good salary, a good just a good way of being. They feel like they have to perform. And when they do perform, it's not quite good enough. So they never really quite feel worthy. That's a deep unconscious. That's a deep unconscious programming and belief. And until that changes, the struggle will not change. And that's true. Until that changes, the struggle will not change. This is true in finances, is also true in relationships. So if you don't believe you're worthy, if you don't know, it's not even just a belief, like I just make it up and muster it up. It's like a knowing. If you don't really know deeply that you're worthy, then you'll never be able to receive anything that's proportionate to what you think you're worth. Or you will. Let me say it this way. If you believe you are unworthy, if you have a sense that you're unworthy, then you will receive in life that which matches up with that belief. Yeah, that's why there is perpetual cycles of struggle. But people will receive in their life what they believe they are worthy of receiving to that level. So here's my question for you tonight. Here's my question for you. Are you worthy? Do you know that you're worthy? Now, I don't mean intellectually, like we can spout off the right answers. Most people know, oh, yeah, I'm supposed to say I'm worthy. I know that's the truth, but I'm not asking about what you think you know at the cognitive level. I'm asking about what you feel deeply at the level of your being. Do you know that you're worthy? Do you know that you're worthy of being loved, cherished? Do you feel that? Do you feel worthy of that? Or does it feel like, yeah, there's just something you're not doing quite well enough? Does it feel like, man, I need to get my act together in a few areas, and then maybe I would feel better about myself? Is it performance based or is it being based? Do you know that you are worthy of a really good, enjoyable, easy, abundant life? Do you know that? Because if you don't know that you're worthy of that, you won't be able to receive an enjoyable, abundant, easy, enjoyable life. Because you can't receive what you don't feel that you are worthy of. Does that make sense? Now, let me tell you why I say that. A lot of us have been raised in households. Okay, a lot of us have been raised. Again, this is not intentional. Our parents, I think, I believe, all parents do the best they can with what they have to offer. I really believe that. And so, um, my understanding, my belief, my knowing, my sense of what I've come to discover is that parents unintentionally pass on what they have, some of the pain that they have lived in. And one of those things is a sense that, our worth is something that we, by at a default setting, it's not quite enough. So we have to really overcome that deficit by performing, right? So I grew up in a household, and I know that many of you have also grown up in a household where if you did something, um, oftentimes, it was the response to that was, hey, that's good, but you could have really done this better over here, or you could have improved in this area, right? Yeah, that's okay, but how about over here? Did you see that over here? Yeah, you could have done that a little bit better, I'll give you an example of that. I'll give you an example of that one time. And again, I love my dad. He means well, and he had no idea that he was communicating this. But I remember being a young boy, probably 11, 12 years old, and I really wanted to cut the grass, and the grass needed cut, and I wanted to help out. I just wanted to. I don't know. I just felt excited to do that, and my dad was reluctant to let me cut the grass because he was kind of particular about things, and he wanted to make sure it was done well. And so I remember being out in the yard, cutting the front yard and cutting the backyard, and feeling really good, like I did it, like accomplished it. And I put the lawnmower away, and I think I went out to go to a friend's house to play for a little bit. And I came back a few hours later, and I remember walking back down my street in my neighborhood, and I heard the lawnmower on, like running, and And as I got closer to my house, I noticed that my dad is out there cutting the grass. And I was confused because I thought, wait, I just cut the grass like a couple hours ago. I just did that. Why is he out there with the lawnmower? So I asked him, I said, Dad, what are you doing? Why are you cutting the grass? And he said, well, you didn't, you missed this area and you missed some spot. And, I'm sure he was right. It was one of my first few times to cut grass. And, I'm sure it wasn't done exactly to the standard that he wanted. But what that communicated unintentionally, I'm sure he didn't mean this, but what it unintentionally communicated to me was, yeah, it's just not good enough. Like what you did was, thanks for the effort, but yeah, that's why I wanted to do it. I think my dad even said that. Like that's why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to make sure it got done right. So what's communicated is, yeah, what you do isn't inherently enough or good enough. But that was a theme that didn't start with that. That's an example, but I think that was a programmed theme in my life from early age, was that you can always do better. You can always improve, which is not untrue. We always can grow and improve. That's true. But if it's coming from a sense of what you just did is not enough, there's trauma there. There's a deep sense of I'm not worthy of accolades or of being even feeling good about what I did because it can be better and it's not good enough right now. This is a deep seated belief. That belief, by and large, that one belief, by and large, keeps people in a poverty mindset for life. If we don't get clear about it and get to the root of it and change the programming at a subconscious level, that belief will keep people in perpetual cycles of poverty, because we will act out of that belief. You cannot receive that which you do not feel worthy of receiving. So I remember feeling like, yeah, why should we we receive praise or feel good or feel gratitude for the work that we did, or even receive pay and financial compensation for the work that we did, if we don't actually believe we're worth it? You won't. The answer is you won't receive what you don't feel you're worth receiving. The universe will respond to that belief that you are not worthy, and it will show you. Because here's the thing, the universe is kind of like that genie in the lamp. Now I know this might sound crazy to some of you, but the universe is kind of like that genie in the lamp, that when you rub the genie, the genie says, hey, your wish is my command. A lot of us, so the universe is listening to the subconscious mind. And when the subconscious mind is saying, I'm not really worthy, again, it's not conscious. We would never say this consciously. But when the subconscious mind is saying, yeah, I'm not really worthy, my best is not good enough, then the universe says, okay, I'll show you that. I'll show you that your best is not good enough. Okay, I'll show you that you're not worthy of receiving X amount of dollars, or this level of comfort in your life, or this sense of enjoyment. Yeah, I'll make sure life is hard because that's what you believe you're worth, is a difficult life, a life of struggle. That's at the subconscious level. You believe that. And I'm going to give that to you. That's what the universe is saying to you, because it's listening to your unconscious mind. This is why patterns repeat. And then this is also why when the unconscious, subconscious programming shifts, it's also why then that's when experience shifts. How do you explain people who go from homeless and destitute and just a constant perpetual struggle year after year? And then when this shift happens in the unconscious mind, within a year, people are asking them, what in the world happened to you? Like, because they're successful, they're thriving in their profession, they're making money, like sometimes people go, what happened to this person? How did this happen so fast for them? How did they start climbing the ladder and getting out of, how did this happen? Yeah, it's because the unconscious programming began to shift. I mean, one of my coaching clients I've been working with this year. We were having a conversation recently, and he was telling me, he said, this year 2020, during a pandemic in which he's a small business owner, and 2020 has been really hard on small businesses. So in the middle of a pandemic, he said, this has been my best year ever. This has been my best year, even financially speaking. This has been my best year ever. And he's like, it baffles my mind because if I'm listening to the media, if I'm listening to people, the sentiment of the society around us, I mean, I should be doing really bad because this is a pandemic and this is economy's struggling, and you hear the rhetoric, right? He says, "This has been my best year ever." Why? Why was it his best year ever? And I know why. And because he's been doing work to reprogram and recondition his unconscious mind in many areas of his life. And so therefore he's seen the results show up in his business and his financial life, in other areas as well. But this is one area. It's not a fluke. It's not a joke. It didn't just happen. It's because the universe will respond to the unconscious programming. And when you shift it, it shifts. It shifts in the universe. It shifts in the external world. It's crazy. I know. Most people think it's what I'm talking about is too good to be true. No, it's how it works. It's how life works. We're waking up to the illusion. We are not victims. We are very powerful people. We have the ability to create and shape reality. Now, I believe these are very spiritual truths. I think Jesus taught them, among other spiritual teachers and leaders throughout history as well. But one of the things that Jesus said, he said, "Behold, I make all things new." It's one of my favorite things that Jesus said. And I actually think that that's, as we begin to move into that kind of life and authority and power, as well as human beings, we have the ability to make all things new as well. Yeah. How can we do that? Yeah, because we have the ability, when we change the unconscious program, and we have the ability to create. It's good news. It's really good news, people. It's awesome news. And so that's why I love the work that I do in helping people shift those unconscious programming scripts that are, causing us to feel unworthy and holding us back from moving into what the life that we are destined to live. And I'm not talking about positive thinking. This has nothing to do with positive thinking. It's not pie in the sky thinking. It's not just wishful thinking. This is literally changing what we believe we are worthy of receiving. Because what you're receiving in life right now is what you have believed you are worthy of receiving. So if you don't like what you're receiving, then it's time to examine what is going on at the unconscious level that I believe that I am worth this. I am worth less than. I'm worth the struggle. I'm worth the perpetual heartbreaks and setbacks and hitting my head against a wall. Where is that coming from? Yeah, it's important to get to the root of that. Because again, if you're not receiving what you believe you're worth, and then you're trying to perform what you're chasing, what you work for, if you're trying to work for worth, yeah, you'll never have it. Because a sense of being worthy doesn't come from your performance. That's why you're frustrated. A sense of being worthy comes from your inherent being. So, and you've heard this before, I'm sure, but children, what's interesting about children is that children between birth and about 6 years old, they are in a place in life where their brains are developing, their conscious and unconscious minds are developing at a very high rate. Okay. And what I mean by that is a lot of this is at the unconscious level. The unconscious is open, it's receiving information, it's receiving input, it's learning, and then it's also informing the conscious mind as well. This is why children mimic if you do something, they'll mimic you, they'll pick up on it, because the mind, they're at that place in life. So the brain has different brainwave functions. So if you think about it, when you're awake, if they would hook up your brain to an EEG machine and measure your brain waves, the brain waves fluctuate. Okay. It's fascinating how the brain works. So there's a brain wave that fluctuates. They oscillate at a certain there's a certain vibration to them, and so they oscillate at so many cycles per second. So not to get in all the science behind it, but the awake state for most adults is what they call beta. If they were to analyze your brain, you have beta waves. That's the awake, normal awake pattern of being. So your brain waves at the beta state, at the beta level, are oscillating between 14 and 21 cycles per second. And that's really where we're doing most of our work and going about our day very normally. Okay. So when you relax a little bit, so when you begin to relax, like, so when you're first waking up from sleep, or when you're, maybe after a meditative session, when you've been meditating, your brain slows down to the alpha state. And so you have beta is the beta waves are what comes out of the awake state. Alpha is a relaxed state. Alpha waves, the brain waves are slowed to between 7 and 14 cycles per second. And so at that level, the brain is a little bit more slow. This is more of a creative state. So when you're in the mode of creation, when you're in the mode of inspired thinking or problem solving, the alpha state is optimal for that state. That's what produces creative thoughts, problem solving thoughts, because you're in a very relaxed state. Problem is, for most people, many people are trying to solve problems and respond to situations when they're in beta, which is kind of a higher frequent. I don't want to say higher frequency. It's a faster rate of the brainwave. It's an operation. It's more of a reactive, and it's more akin to the fight or flight. Not exactly, but it when you're in fight or flight mode, you're in beta states. Okay, so most problems cannot be solved from beta states, the normal waking uh, level of the mind. So you need to go to a slower level or more relaxed level of the mind to get into a creative state. So songwriters, musicians, artists, writers, it's always helpful to get into a slow, relaxed state, which is the alpha state. This is why it helps the creation process. It's also why when you're meditating or after meditating, you feel inspired. You have all these inspired thoughts because your brain is slowing to the alpha state. Okay, I'm going somewhere with this, so bear with me here. So the third kind of state that your brain waves operate in, what's even slower than beta and alpha is theta. So the brain, another slower, brain function is theta. Theta, I'm not exactly sure what the cycles per second that those waves oscillate at per minute, or per second, but it's slower, and that's kind of a dreamlike. Theta is a dreamlike state. And in the theta state, that's when, really open to suggestion. And when things are spoken to you at a theta level, they get lodged in much easier into your subconscious mind. It's a very creative state of being as well. It's very powerful. It's when we're also most in tune with our sense of intuition at the heart level. So when you are, and the reason I bring this up is because when children between birth and about 6 years old, children's brains are operating more akin to the theta level. They're not at the beta level and not at the alpha level. They're even at a very relaxed theta level. It's also the same level if you ever go to a hypnotist to be hypnotized, and then they can begin to tap into your unconscious mind, or also even to plant suggestions at the unconscious mind. A hypnotist will get you into a theta state. It's a very relaxed theta state. So your brain then becomes very open. Your subconscious mind becomes very malleable or open to form being shaped. That's at the theta level. Children between birth and about 6 years old, their brains are more aligned with a theta state of being. This is why they're so susceptible to programming. This is how, so about age, and you've heard this, I'm sure, by the time a child gets to about 6 years old, most of their core beliefs and how they perceive the world and themselves, more importantly, how they perceive themselves, are already solidified at the unconscious level by about age 6. Because after about age 6, then the brain begins to go into more beta states of being, which is more of a filter. So you kind of get used to the way things are. That part of the brain that's taking in new information, new senses, it kind of goes to sleep, and then you operate from conditioning. So that conditioning is pretty firmly established by age 6, and that's almost enough time for all the damage to be done. So by the time a person is 6 years old, you've had certain things programmed into you, not consciously or explicitly, but unconsciously. Like, it's not okay to feel your emotions. Like, hey, if, in order to get ahead in life, in order to really succeed, you gotta struggle and work really hard. Or hey, your best is never good enough. You can always do it better. So you're not really worthy. Like you can always get better. It's not good enough. Like those are messages. Or hey, I just don't have time for you. Like your needs are a burden. This is communicated to children, not explicitly, because most parents would not explicitly say those things to their children, but it's a way of being that's communicated to the children, and that goes in at the unconscious level, those deep senses of unworthiness. Yeah, it's real. It's very real. So I bring all that up to say it's vitally important for us to begin to feel in life that we are worthy, deeply worthy. Because again, you will not be able to receive in your life the life you desire or want if you believe you are not worthy of that desire. So it's imperative. It's absolutely imperative that you do the deep internal work that begins to shift that programming from unworthy to worthy. And I'm not talking at the conscious level, because anybody can just tell you, yeah, I know I'm worthy. I mean, do you feel it? Do you feel worthy? And again, if you don't, how is look at your life. Take inventory of your life. It's okay. There's no judgment in that. But are you where you want to be? Like, I'm not saying that this is it. Like you're never going to grow further. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but do you like where you are right now? Do you feel like you're stuck, or do you feel like you're moving forward? Do you feel? Again, the key word here is feel. What do you feel? Does life feel abundant and expansive for you, or does it feel limiting? Do you feel frustrated with where you are? Again, if your life is not reflecting what you desire if your life is not reflecting what you desire it to reflect, then I would make the assumption, or I would make the suggestion that there is a deep sense of unworthiness that is still lodged very deep in your unconscious programming. Again, this sometimes it's a process, not overnight, to get rid of this, or to change the programming. But you have to be committed to it. It takes consistent effort, and it takes and sometimes you're worth it. Like sometimes people tell me, well, how long is this going to take? I always say it take long enough, as long as it takes. Are you committed to your life? Are you worthy of this shift, whatever it takes? Are you worthy? Are you in for that? Like, or is it just going to be too much work for you? Do you just not have the time? Maybe you don't have the time or resources to devote, right, to your own internal shift work. Yeah, if you believe that, if you don't think you're worth it, then you won't be. And then you'll just stay stuck. I see it happen way too often. But I also work with some courageous people that say, I will not accept a life that is less than what I know I am worth. It's not entitlement. There's a difference between knowing you're worthy and feeling entitled, right? Do you know the difference? A lot of times people, when they hear me talk like this, they what they hear me say is, that sounds like entitlement, or someone says, I know I'm worth more than this. Yeah. You ever been around somebody that's just like, yeah, I'm worth more than this, and they don't pull their weight, or they're not grateful for the opportunities they have, because they feel like they're being gypped, that they're worth more than this. Yeah, that's not worthiness. That's entitlement. And entitlement, I'll tell you the difference between knowing you're worthy and entitlement. Entitlement is actually another form of the victim mindset. Yeah. Entitlement is, hey, I'm worth this, but nobody wants to give me what I'm worth. And I feel upset. I'm angry that nobody wants to give me what I'm worth. Now, that's entitlement. That's the victim mindset. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a deep knowing that you are worthy. And when you have that deep knowing, there's a peace, there's a settledness in you that you then begin to live out and walk into, and receive all that you're worth, all that you're worth. You're worth love. You won't take anything less than that. You're not into enmeshments. You're into healthy, full embodied relationships. And that's all. And that's what you expect. And It's not about entitlement. It's just what you receive. You're worth being in a career in which you're doing the passion of your life. You're working in the thing you're most passionate about. And you know that you're worth being compensated well for that. And that's what you receive. There's not a sense of entitlement, like I'm not getting what I'm worth. It's not, I'm not talking about that. It's just a sense of knowing it's worth. And then you walk into that. Would you like to live a life of worth? Would you? I'm not talking about a life of entitlement. I'm talking about a life of worth where you know deep in the core of your being that you are worthy of love. You are worthy of abundance. You're worthy of health. Would you like to live that kind of a life? Yeah, absolutely. Of course you would. Well, then we're going to have to go to work on changing the unconscious script around what you're worth and a sense of worthiness, because you will always receive what you believe at the unconscious level you are worth receiving. So, with that said, I would like to tell you about a program. Okay. And I'm wrapping up here with this episode. Thank you for listening, by the way. I want to wrap up this episode by telling you about a workshop that I've put together. And you've probably heard me talk about this here before, but it's called Uprooting from the Poverty Mindset Workshop. Now, I do have a group on Facebook. It's actually a Facebook group. It's totally free for you to join the group. I do live presentations in that group once a week, and you can request to join here on Facebook. On Facebook, it's called Uprooting from the Poverty Mindset. You can join that group free of charge. You just have to answer 3 questions, and you could be admitted to that Facebook group. But I also have a workshop, and in the workshop, it's a 6-week workshop, and we do live Zoom sessions with just a small group of people. It's only a handful of people when I work with each workshop. I keep it small so we can be very hands-on, and we get very clear about some of the limiting beliefs, where they came from, and how to reprogram these beliefs at a deep-seated level, specifically around money. But it does get into um, really our understanding of our essence, our identity, and what we believe we are worth. See, all money's nothing. We invented it, but it's a metaphor. And at the root word of money is currency, and the root word of currency is current, which really is energy. So money is reflective of the energy of your life. So it's most of the times money reflects a deep sense of not enough or unworthiness. And again, if you feel at the unconscious level that you are not enough or that you are not worthy, your financial life will reflect that. Again, I'm not talking about how much money you have in the bank. It's not about a certain number in the bank. It's not even about a certain lifestyle. It's about how do you feel? How does your financial life feel to you? Does it feel expansive, or does it feel limiting? Does it feel terrifying, or does it feel exciting and joyful? Again, the most important relationship we have in life, I believe, is the relationship we have with ourself. And I can, and when you get into this workshop, we will really unpack that. But the relationship we have with ourself is very powerfully magnified or demonstrated by the kind of relationship we have with money. It's true. So if you would like to get to the root of, if you've been struggling with a poverty mindset, and you feel like your relationship with money has been very severely limiting to you, then what are you waiting for? Like, I would really encourage you to consider that this workshop may be for you. At least get some more information about it. So let me invite you to go to my website, which is jamaljavanji.com. If you go to my website, jamaljavanji.com, in the menu section, you'll see a link for Uprooting from the Poverty Mindset Workshop. Click that link in my website, and there's a form there. You just put in your name, information, and then click submit that form, and just say you'd like some more information about the Uprooting from the Poverty Mindset Workshop. Submit that form, and I will get back with you some more info about what this workshop entails and the details there. Okay, and we'll see if it's a good fit for you. But that's something I wanted to tell you about, because we're getting ready to launch another workshop here in the next few weeks that I would love for you to be part of. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to this this episode of this series. And until next time, take care and know your worth. Know your worth. All right. Bye bye.